All right, Midlife Crisis Journal Day 22. This is Ryan, and I think today I just want to rant a little bit more about how hard it is to control your sleep schedule when you have younger kids. So last night, my 7-year-old kept getting out of bed through well past 11 o'clock. My 5-year-old has this thing where, I don't know, unless it's very rare that he's able to go to sleep really quickly after bedtime. He has, my 5-year-old's at this age where and it's part of his personality, where he understands when you tell him that, like, you can't stay up like this and ask us to come in 6 times, you gotta go to sleep, but is very intense emotionally, so he'll just get upset like that pretty quickly. So you have to balance that. He's not quite in control of his emotions yet that well. My 3-year-old goes to sleep no problem. So maybe if we had more kids like him, that'd be different. But it's, yeah, I don't know. I'll just say, like, my wife and I, we never agreed with the cried out method of parenting. And hearing more and more about how I'm not into parenting a lot of modern parents are, we're feel more and more emboldened in our decision over time. Because it, kind of, when you're raising your kids, you don't want them to become, you don't want them to become anxious, and part of that is balancing how much comfort you give them. You don't want to give them so much comfort that they're unable to, kind of walk on their own, or, regulate their own emotions. But at the same time, kids need a home base to go to. So, for example, honestly, I think daycare that kids people in daycare is too much to handle. I mean, like, a big part where, anxiety, I think, gets developed is when you're like an older kid, or almost like coming into adolescence and teenage years, and you're giving too much responsibility. Sometimes life just does that. But if you have more than you can handle, you're more likely to develop anxious tendencies. There's a lot of, obviously I don't have kids that old, but that's a lot of what I've read. And trying to match that. My wife, for example, there's a little bit of anecdotal evidence. She's more she tends towards anxiety more than I do. She was given more responsibility than I was, and maybe a little bit too quickly. Oh. So but it's tough because there's this gambit where the only time you may have to, as parents, to feel like you have some leeway to enjoy yourselves during life is like in the evening after the kids are asleep. You do whatever you want. You can go back to do some of the hobbies you did before you had kids and stuff. But it's tough for them to actually get them. But that often isn't very much time. And if you want to live a life where you get a head start on things in the morning, and you want to get adequate sleep at the same time, it's, if you want to do the Jocko Willink get up at 4:30, you kind of need to go to bed at, like, you need, some people need, you need at least 7 hours or so. So you're going to bed at 9:30 for that. That's almost impossible to do reliably, and also have the evening time as time to do things that you just feel like doing. If you do things in the morning, make sure you do that, but that's usually not what you're waking up in the morning to do. You're not waking up in the morning to, like, watch a movie or, do adult activities with your significant other. I guess you could, but yeah, that's not, it's gonna be different, I think, as the kids get a little bit older and are more so self-sufficient going to bed. And maybe one day when we have a larger house where all the bedrooms aren't right next to each other on the first floor. We live in a ranch, so yeah, that's a little bit of a rant for today. Just saying this because last night I was able to get a bit of a head start on sleep. So yeah, it does get tough sometimes to not just like blame lack of pursuit towards certain goals on just like, yeah, you know, parenting makes it almost impossible, but trying to manage through it, obviously. And it's better than it used to be at this age. When my 5-year-old, he was always the worst sleeper. When he was an infant, it was impossible to do things. He would wake up inconsolable every night at like 11:20 or so. Ended up getting his tonsils out when he got older. He would get into a feedback loop where he had, you know, is that posterior tongue tie, which is almost like a hidden tongue tie, which led to mouth breathing, which mouth breathing then leads to like huge tonsils and things like that over time, which even when the tongue tie isn't a problem anymore, that becomes a problem. He would have like night terrors and stuff whenever he got a cold because he was like not getting oxygen. We did a sleep study and he had, you know, pediatric sleep apnea. So it makes sense in retrospect that that's what he had. Anyway, so a bit of a parenting rant for today. Going selfie mode today. It's a little bit more risky, but it's also been raining now. Anyway, day 20, I think 22 in the books.